Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center on this Thursday, covering a severe thunderstorm right here across the area. This time in North Florida, though, this is a thunderstorm warning impact in Monticello area here until it looks like about 6:15. So, make sure folks are inside and away from windows. Just moving toward I-10 here over the next little bit. So, right where folks are exiting off of I-10, will be getting into some of the worst of this here over the next few moments, exiting off toward Monticello. So, I got to be really careful here under the wind energy on that latest scan. Looks like it might have ticked down just a bit, but kind of hard to see. I know we have some wind energy in Leon County as well. We'll keep our eyes on that to see if there's any type of advisory or warning needed here, additional type of advisory at least, because had an advisory could be a warning though, get a warning issued all the way to that level. We'll see, but again, watching this thread here, this severe thunderstorm warning is in play until about 6:15 there for parts of Jefferson, Leon, and Madison counties. At 5:24, severe thunderstorm is located near Monticello, went south at 20 miles an hour. This includes areas there, it looks like Monticello, Lamont, Caps, over toward Lois there, Nash, Thomas City, Drifton. You have Wassissa in there, Lloyd, or Wassissa Springs, Lake Miccosukee there as well. So just gotta keep our eyes on that situation. Just gotta keep our eyes on things here as we are tracking this potential. We could have some damage to roofs, siding, and some trees even. I know they just issued an advisory for that storm again in Leon, further back in Leon, but this warning here for central Jefferson, east central Leon, and southwestern Madison until 6:15 for 60 winds. Pretty size hail possible also. That's not the warning criteria there that we're talking about with this. The other storm, 40 gust and winds, that's what the storyline is with those, but then hail to about a quarter of an inch in diameter. So just kind of the storyline there. But as we look back into toward Monticello again, moving toward I-10 here over the next little bit, so just got to be kind of careful in toward that area. I know, by the way, the heat's been a story again today. Record high set at St. Simon's Island endured 95 degrees is what they got to. The record previously was 93. That was set back in 2019. So warm air kind of helping add more instability to things here with the storminess overall. But again, just continuing to track things here. Continuing to give you the latest. Right now, it's not in the word period. We'll have to watch to see if this tries to get its way closer, though, depending on the overall trajectory, because those areas in Taylor County were more hard hit by the storm, but even Monticello was hit pretty hard as well in Jefferson County by the storm system there with Idalia last week, a major hurricane landfall within our covered area. So that's definitely a storyline and something we'll continue to watch, continue to monitor here, the aftermath of that, obviously. So, again, we're just going to have to continue to see exactly what is going on. I know I was talking about my other update earlier on, is that other advisory box pop up, but I did have a chance to look at some of the damage yesterday, still getting some of that photographic information here together for you guys and to share those visuals with you. We have another visual to share that this is just of the insurance village there toward the Perry area, and this is expected to, according to media reports here, media reports say this should be there to at least Saturday, where it's a situation where this will be open 9 to 5 in the Winn-Dixie parking lot there in Perry in Taylor County. It's an initial payment center per se at the Winn-Dixie parking lot. It looks like the address there, 2057 South Byron Butler Parkway, and that's in the Perry area, as we've alluded to, open daily 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And according to the Florida Department there of Financial Services, they say that policyholders should bring as much documentation as they can, including a driver's license or other form of identification. Of course, this isn't open now based on the reporting there with the hours from the Department of Financial Service there. Financial Services, or the actual reporting of it tentatively being scheduled to stay open on Saturday. But just bring that information as much as you can, a driver's license or other form of identification like a passport, a state-issued ID, insurance card, and insurance policy information and documentation, picture or documentation of the property being claimed as a loss resulting from Hurricane Idalia, and any additional information that's insurance related that's readily accessible. So it's the purpose really of this is for the policyholders to meet directly with their insurance companies to file claims, and for the issuance there of insurance companies to give out those checks to the victims of Idalia. So just want to kind of touch on that there, since I saw that there from a distance yesterday, and I just thought we'd go ahead and allude to it here on the air with you guys. Allude to that on the air with you guys here. So again, just continuing to look at things here. Let me go ahead and go back on over to the current warning that we have on the board here right now. And you'll be able to see this is for areas of Jefferson County, primarily here until about 6:15. I know at least we're not seeing anything there further off toward the east either, in the ward, as we talked about further into Madison, but then also into Suwannee County. We talked about this earlier, but I was looking at some of the damage toward the Dallin Park area. I know that was something that was pretty substantial there as well, and this is just a look at that here. I mean, this is just some of the worst of that. So just if you didn't see my update earlier on, I thought I'd show this to you to see the lines down there, and it's just really a story where there's so many different points of damage here within this. But let's just go ahead and see here again. We're dealing with thunderstorm activity around Tallahassee. We're going to have a thunder roars. You want to go indoors. But then as you look here toward I-10 around Monticello, we have again some of that heavier rain moving on in toward that area right now. So let me go ahead and just continue to look at things here in the Weather Center. I know probably not going to pull them up on our main source, but I want to just look at them behind the scenes, some of our traffic cameras real quick, just to see what they're showing. If there's something really dramatic, might so that I know the traffic's pretty slow around Tallahassee right now. It's rush hour, but it's probably in part here to the storminess as well, coming on through at that point. That obviously always adds a little bit of an extra layer to things. But looking there, let's see. So we have the Monticello area. Let me see around Drift in there. Let's just check some of the cameras. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit wet out there. Don't see a lot of backup so at this point, which is good. But that could always change here pretty rapidly, depending on where you're at though on this. It looks like at mile marker 224.7, there's some nastier conditions here in terms of the visibility on the camera, at least looking a little bit lower. Look like traffic's still going by pretty good though. So just looking at some things behind the scenes right now, but some of the worst of it really hadn't maybe got there yet. I mean, the scans are going to be a few minutes behind, but probably on that leading edge, I didn't see a lot of wind, but just sampling a few of the cameras behind the scenes. But again, continuing to track things, continuing to watch them here in the Weather Center. You can see up toward Grady County, we have some storminess there as well, some heavier downpours in that area. But again, I still have that severe thunderstorm warning until about 6:15 there for parts of Jefferson County. Seeing some of that wind enhancement right along I-10 there as we're looking off toward the west of Drifton. That's something to keep in mind as we're looking at things. And then gonna go ahead and zoom back out here just a little bit. You see Coffee County significantly advisory. That's till 5:45. That didn't look as strong. I know off even the Tallahassee radar. You have advisory from Marion, and that goes until about 6. But the situation here will really, some of that stuff doesn't look as strong as it did earlier on. So that's some good news. But we'll just continue to monitor things here. Let me go ahead and go to the brighter view. We are seeing a little bit more of a hail signature now. A little bit of that north of Tallahassee and that storm there as we're looking at a report to Grady County. But this one here east of Tallahassee has that one that could be severe in nature according to our product, that hail that I'm talking about. So again, I just have to continue to watch things here in the Weather Center. Give you guys the latest, at least a little bit longer here. A little bit longer. New advisory now for parts of Thomas and Mitchell until about 6:30. Even Grady and Decatur in there as well for those winds to about 40 miles an hour and hail to about a quarter of an inch, not a quarter size type of situation, but a quarter of an inch there in diameter. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. So I have a storm that's done hail maybe to 2 inches. Wow, that's impressive there further north of our area. They're seeing quarter size at the Weather Service in Peachtree City, but at least at the moment, our product may not be that great with the angle on the radar, or it's not that far away, but it's actually showing 2 inches and 2.5 inch size hail there, southeast of Perry, Georgia, not in our area, not Perry, Florida, but that's just interesting to see. They're just isn't all that far northeast of Cordell, but Cordell's just outside of our area, but it's about 30 miles northeast of there, so just kind of giving you guys perspective on that. So again, continuing to watch things, continuing to track them here in the Weather Center. So again, let me go ahead and zoom back out a little bit more. You can see all those, look at those temperatures in Texas. It's been a hot, hot summer, and it's continuing over there. They had that storm system that came to South Texas there that kind of helped to cool things off, but it was very short-lived, and you can see 107 around Dallas right now. Just really telling that weather story, that heat in full force, and then when I zoom out, again, you see Hurricane Lee is not Cat 4 out there. We have another storm system, tropical storm, it looks like out there as you get past Lee on the list. We have our tropical storm there in the form of Margot, but that's not going to be a threat here. Margot, Lee, not going to be a threat to us. It does not look like going to be a very powerful system. It could have that impact there. As you talked about, it looks like it would have that impact toward the coastal areas here, but with those enhanced rip currents and the like, those higher surf values, but it's expected to stay several hundred miles east of our area, which is good. Now up towards the mid-Atlantic Northeast and maybe up even to more like Maine, eastern Canada, because there's a chance it could have an impact, maybe a direct one on them. That could be a big deal. I mean, it wouldn't be a Cat 5 up there, or not even a major hurricane if it hit up that way, because the water temperatures are cooler and the pattern not as favorable, but it would still probably be a hurricane. That'd be a big deal up there. It'd still be a major issue for those folks, because they don't get those very often, especially like areas there around Maine, and areas like if it were to somehow get further back up there. I mean, some of the models have it getting a little bit closer toward like Nantucket, but if it were to somehow get closer toward New York or something, obviously even a lower hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale would be a big deal. I mean, Irene was just barely a hurricane when it was getting there around New York City, if I recall, and then of course Sandy was technically extratropical, but we know it was really, really terrible for those folks. As we real quickly pull up that Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Of course, our storm system there, Idalia, it was a Cat 4 at one point in the Gulf. Megan was a high-end Cat 3 officially there, with the max sustained winds around 125 miles an hour at Keaton Beach there last Wednesday morning. But again, let's go ahead and pull this back up and continue to look at things in a new advisory now for parts of Marion. I didn't see a lot there, to be quite honest, but it's enough, I guess, to show up there that we could have some hail. It could be about, it looks like about 0.25 inches in diameter, winds to about 50 there west of the Ocala airport, just a little bit there. Not seeing much at all at the airport, not popping up at 90 degrees out there as the last check. Getting a little bit more of a hail signature now in Georgia, I know, within that risk area, that 5% wind risk here. I know I see in a situation here where, we do have that. We don't have the hail risk, I don't think, on the board. Let me double check. Yeah, that's not right popping up, but I still could get a hail there that gets closer to an inch. I don't know if we'd actually get any inch-size hail since the atmosphere isn't really supportive of that today, but again, looking here, we do have a flood advisory now for areas of Leon. So let's see. That's why they issued that, I bet. Some areas are southeast part of town over 3 inches in the last hour. That's pretty substantial. This flood advisory going to 7:45. I mean, if we get much more rain, it might have to go with a flash flood warning there, but it looks like Doppler radar indicated heavy rain due to thunderstorms is either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. In this case, it's been ongoing here, it would seem. As I look again, some of those reddish colors over 3 inches in the last hour. So at 5:46, Doppler indicated heavy rain due to thunderstorms, minor floodings, either ongoing or expected to begin shortly, as we alluded to. But Tallahassee, Tom Brown Park in there. we also have the, it looks like the Relford Greenway over toward Miccosukee area there. Looks like over toward that Road Greenway, getting over toward Governor Square Mall, Southwood, and then you have Indian Head Acres, Appalachian Regional Park, Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. You have Winthrop Park, Cascades Park, Midtown State Capitol Complex, Lake Ella, Cleveland Plaza, and even Frenchtown in there. So, again, that kind of storyline there, that flood advisory, quite a bit of rainfall in a certain amount of time, part of Leon County. But that's not what we're on. We're on for this thunderstorm right around I-10. Might be affecting folks that are trying to get west to east or east to west there on that road to get into some of the areas harder hit by Idalia. You can see maybe trying to get supplies in there or the like, and you can see the heavier downpours there in that region right now, just making things a little more hazardous. But it could be winds to 60. That's what prompted a warning here, gust to 60, not an overwhelming threat, but it's still something to watch. Although I think it's actually improved, meaning it's gotten a little bit stronger, unfortunately, over the last few moments. So let's go ahead and see that. Right over the interstate region there, it says a little bit stronger now. Again, let me go ahead and just kind of zoom on in here. You can see 35-mile-an-hour winds one way, but the other way is only about 10. So still, that's only still winds about 45, and we're not all that far off the ground, almost in a way. Maybe just enough here where you're getting a pretty good look, but it could still be underdoing it a little bit. So you could still be getting some damaging conditions to the surface, not out of the question here. As we continue to track this, continue to give you guys the very latest to protect you, your friends, and your family here. So again, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, trying to keep you guys safe here, trying to keep you guys safe and informed. So again, we'll watch to see if this gets closer to where it is like Perry, who's so vulnerable from our storm system coming on through there last week. Could get some downpours there right now. It looks like maybe west side of town, but this stuff can change pretty rapidly, as you know. With all that daytime heating around, things can kind of shift pretty quick on us. So, got to keep that in mind. As we look here north of Cairo, that's getting pretty strong there. Seeing winds to about 46 miles an hour in there right now in the pixels. So that's a little bit more intense there. We'll have to see if they issue a warning on that. The hail signature trying to pop up too. It's not overwhelming. I mean, it's right now, it'd either be a strong thunderstorm or very marginally severe, but could have a little bit of hail in there north of Cairo Byway. That's just west there of State Road 112 and north of Cairo proper. But again, we're tracking things here for you in the Weather Center, trying to give you the very latest to protect you, your friends, your family, inform you, your friends, and your family here. Again, trying to see exactly what is going on. Let me go ahead and see what our power outage numbers show right now, because it's a situation where we still have more outages there from Idalia than we do from the stuff that we're having occur right now. But I know we only had one customer in Jefferson County earlier on. Well, now, unfortunately, we are up there, according to PowerOutage.us, to about 400. So that would be from this current activity. And in Leon County now, well, they didn't have anybody. Someone up on here that was popping. I didn't double check, but I didn't really see anything there. It's over 2,000 now. Some of that because of this, but then we still have several thousand in a dart there between Taylor, Lafayette, Suwannee, and Hamilton counties there, and Madison. You kind of add that up there, and well, you have more of an issue there still, as I'm just kind of trying to do the math there on the screen. I know, just kind of looking at that. I mean, that has gone down a good bit here overall. The math there, a few thousand, I guess, is probably more accurate than maybe several thousand, but it kind of get tricky with some of the numbers as they shift around. And Suwannee County is under 1,000 now. We were just talking about them being over 1,000 a little while ago. So again, things are getting better out toward the east, but there's always a chance too that some of these areas in Jefferson County, there's vulnerable neighborhoods here in terms of just maybe lines they got put back together, but maybe maybe there's an issue there still that wasn't really caught there when folks are trying to get the power back on as quick as possible in the safest way as possible. But there's always a small chance there that maybe things, there's something that it was damaged that wasn't readily seen, and now that vulnerability is being exploited here by this thunderstorm activity, or maybe this lightning's hidden stuff and causing the power to go out there once again or for the first time, but in recent days or weeks. But again, looking there, you can kind of see north of Wakena there. You can see some heavier downpours. Just having to continue to watch things, continue to track things here on the Doppler. You can see some of that wind energy there. I know it's a situation where it's not really that impressive, to be quite honest, and almost a spot where maybe we want to wrap it up pretty soon. We don't see much more of that, but another storm to the north maybe still showing enough to stay with us a little longer. As we're looking around Cairo, have to watch that moving toward Grady County a little bit deeper, a little bit further here over the next few moments. So just keep that in mind. And then as we look here, I'll zoom back out. You don't see too many high winds. 16 Metro, I bet. I mean, once we get to the review process here, we'll probably find some damage reports because the power outages numbers have been kind of telling the story that's power outage numbers per se. But it's a scenario here where Roy, I mean, you may have damage here, but it'll take something to be found a little bit later on here per se to be able to write that up. Maybe just not even getting that information in real time, but there probably is some. We just haven't seen those damage reports, those local storm reports coming out officially from the Tallahassee office at this point. So again, continue to track things, continue to give you the latest. Let me see here what we got. Let me go ahead and see what we got. I know how a full report late tonight there, very late tonight as we always do. Tuesdays and Thursdays here. I mean, of course, last week was a weird week, but otherwise, I mean, we were on so much more with the extended coverage, almost 8 hours or so of that landfall coverage for you on Wednesday, so we didn't have a full update late Thursday. But in general, we're on every Tuesday and Thursday like we were back on this Tuesday. And that's our normal schedule here on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. But of course, we're always on for any tornado warning storms moving through any of our 62 counties here as well. So that's something to keep in mind. That's something to keep in mind here for sure. We're here to give you guys the very latest whenever we have any of those threats here in play. But also just other severe weather hazards, of course, hurricanes top of mind, and I mean severe thunderstorms like what we're dealing with now. But again, I'm just trying to say, guys, what we're tracking on the Doppler radar. We're trying to give you guys the latest on, and that's this severe thunderstorm warning right now. I know, I just looking at things here. You can see that yellow box, that warning remaining in effect there out toward the west. So again, just got to keep that in mind there. Got to keep that in mind as we look here. I'm going to zoom back out real quick and see. I do have a severe thunderstorm watch there west of New York. A bunch of warnings up that way today. A busier day up there than down here, but still, these storms can be hazardous here whenever thunder roars. Want to go indoors, just have to be careful of the heat. I mean, very hot temperatures can be a problem here at points as well. I mean, situation here where you're seeing a scenario where you gotta make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You gotta check on those young children there and the elderly to make sure that they're doing all right with these type of conditions here in play. So just gotta keep on watching. I don't know if you're watching like Stark, you're probably wondering what's going on. It's sunny outside. I mean, I'm looking at it myself here, but we do have some thunderstorm activity, even some severe potential out of the west here. This is your area of greatest concern, and that green zone. And then, I mean, as a warning, just kind of on the edge of that, I think, at this point. But still in that general vicinity, you do have a lightning strike zone up there in parts of the Williston area, and Ocala, a little over to that too. They're north of the airport. There's an advisory there. But overall, a situation where things aren't too widespread or too crazy further on off. But we do have that severe thunderstorm warning continuing there to about 6:15 for part of Jefferson County. I know right along I-10 right now they're getting some pretty nasty conditions. You can see some green rays. They look like they're trying to get a little bit more organized. They were there, and then they kind of faded and back up a little. Some of the brighter pixels again showing up just on the edge there of eastern Lyon as well. They're technically still in this warning. A little bit of eastern Lyon, not much of it, but east central Lyon, southwestern Madison, central Jefferson counties under the severe thunderstorm warning until 6:15. I know parts of Lyon County, you see some of those winds in there. You see north of Cairo, you have some heavier downpours there in Grady County as well. So again, I'll be watching that and maybe some hail mixing in. I mean, except for this signature here, everything else looks like it's trending on down a bit, which is good. I don't see much of a signature to the north with our advisory, and in Marion County, well, we're on the edge of the radars for this. Let's check Tampa's radar. I know we're jumping all around, but not even much on that. But gust to 59 out of the question there. Back to Tallahassee's radar we go now. Let's see if this is kind of sort of trending one way or the other, because if this starts to trend a little bit further down, it's not right over the interstate, probably wrap it up, because this isn't the most impressive thing we've ever seen here. But let's just stick with it a little bit longer. There could be some areas that were impacted more by our system there, Dahlia last week. That could feel the wrapped to this a little bit more so than normal. I mean, those roofs there with those blue tarps on them, or parts of them, that can be problematic, obviously, so just keep that in mind as we're looking at things here in the weather center. So again, 5:59 right now. That warning still continuing for another 16 minutes. Monticello, Lamont, Caps, Lois, Nash, Thomas City, Drifton, Wakena, Wassissa, Lloyd, Wassissa Springs, Lake Miccosukee there. So, storm system moving south about 20 miles an hour. Of course, this is nothing like we had in our area last week, though. I'll have more of these photos later tonight, and this as we look ahead in the timeline. But with Idalia here, I mean, look what happened there. I had a chance to look at the damage yesterday in several counties out of the west inland wind damage aspect. And this is a picture I took, one of the more impressive, not the most impressive, at where Dallin Park in that area there in Suwannee County. You can just see the lines were down, and all sorts of work was being done here. I mean, really just telling the story. You can see all that tree debris and tree axe in there. In that, it just shows the power of the winds are really focused. Some of these areas, I know, some of the areas that maybe got spared though, which was great news. But I mean, when you have a situation where you have trees around the home and the like, I mean, sometimes a more vulnerable setup. That's something to consider as well. So again, just something to kind of give you a visual on that things still having to be cleaned up there, obviously out toward the west, but a lot of progress being made in many spots, but still it looked pretty nasty there. Again, looking at things here, looking at things on the Doppler radar here right now, south of Monticello. I know we're watching a heavier downpour action here. We're just trying to give you guys the very latest on what's going on. Let me go ahead and zoom back. I have an advisory now south of Bainbridge. Gusts up to 40 there, north of Cairo, gust there. Well, they could be up to 40 miles an hour, so keep that in mind as we're looking at things over in that vicinity. Definitely kind of telling the storyline there. I know just seeing all sorts of different issues here. I know had a lot of different reports there out of Suwannee County. We don't have the pictures in here yet, but I know we had reports of this issues. So many problems with chicken houses there and just stuff. That's according to media reports, and I saw some of that there firsthand yesterday. So still trying to get some of those in our system and the like, and trying to get the best shots. I mean, sometimes you take pictures and video and and some obviously will turn out and some won't. So we're still trying to get everything kind of processed here. But again, just a one-man band. So again, trying to watch these storms. These are impacting your daily life here to some degree right now. Nothing like a hurricane would, direct impact from that. But still, whenever thunder roars going towards, looking north of Cairo right now. Some wind, some lightning there. Not much lightning in this one south of Bainbridge, but wind is to about 40 knot out of the question there. And then you have south of Monticello there. You have some wind enhancement, maybe moving down a little bit closer toward Wakena there. over the next little bit, Tallahassee proper, well, you have some heavier downpours there on US 319, but nothing that's just really dangerous with the lightning in play. But nonetheless, you just got to keep your eyes on things here as you're looking at the overall scenario here. And just continuing to track things, continuing to monitor them here in the Weather Center. We always get our new information on in here. It's all about protecting you, all about protecting your friends, and all about protecting your family. So again, let's just keep looking at things here a little bit longer. Now let me see what I got here to kind of give you in terms of our visual presentation. And it was so important to kind of convey that. I'm looking at some different things and I'm modeling. And that big NFL opener tonight in Kansas City against the Detroit Lions. Well, for the Kansas City Chiefs there, it looks like weather should hold off. There's a thunderstorm risk in general, but the weather should hold off there, which would be some good news. And to see that broad perspective real quick, you can see 100-degree reading in Oklahoma City, still very hot, especially for this time of year. And we still have that summertime pattern in play. And then you see our hurricane out here, Hurricane Lee. Let's go ahead and see that. It's very well put together. I mean, thankfully it's away from land right now. But you see that stuff's bad. It's well defined of an eye. If you ever see already Cat 4, it could be a Cat 5 here. Pretty soon you see that track in your, and I'll go ahead and pull that back up here for you in just a second. You're probably wondering, like, why isn't there a concern? Why isn't my logo red? By the way, just off topic real quick, flood advisory just issued in our local area for Grady County from some of these storminess we're tracking. But there's the storm system. You see Cat 4, Cat 5. You're saying, well, that looks like it's headed toward Florida. Well, at first it would be, but it's going to recurve. Now, we just have to see where it recurves to, but it's not going to recurve in the direction of Florida or Georgia. It seems like that's almost it'd be an impossible scenario there based on the overall setup in the atmosphere. And with the overall dynamics here, I mean, just kind of turning things around with this, and that'd be good news for us locally. We have another system out there that is Margo, so don't have to worry about that one. And we have Nigel, that could be a threat, not developed yet, but we'll have to watch that here further back way early. May not even be what we're looking at. That for development could end up being something else. If you see our tracks kind of recurving, going to have rip currents in the local beaches, going to have, even though it could be 600-700 miles away, you could have at the closest, you're going to have a situation here as well where you end up having high surf and the like. It's got to be careful in the water, but it should kind of curve up. We'll have to watch that as the models progress this further. You see how they're kind of angling it back. We'll have to see how they angle this, if they angle completely away from the U.S. or if it's closer in. It probably wouldn't be a Cat 5, maybe not even a major hurricane as it hit further on up, but it would still be consequential, big time problems, even with a lower end hurricane in certain parts of the Northeast there, obviously, and Mid-Atlantic. I mean, it also could end up hitting Maine there, which would still be a big deal, historic. Don't get those too often there. Could be Eastern Canada, may end up recovering all the way away. Could hit Bermuda, never know. Still some options on the table, but nothing to really worry about for our local viewers, which is good news after what we had with Idalia. So let's go back to the local view on the Doppler. You see our marginal 1 out of 5 risk here today of severe weather. We're tracking this for you. Let me go ahead and go back on up here on the Doppler. You see south there of the interstate. That wind signature is really kind of falling apart, it looks like. I mean, even the overall reflectivity pattern seems to be decaying there, so that's good. Now I just gotta watch this stuff to the north, though, and anything else that develops in the short term or the longer term here. I don't see much wind energy south of Bainbridge or on Cairo. You see a little bit. See a little bit of that wind energy. It's kind of on the edge, though, which is maybe indicative of not a situation where it's getting down to the surface as much. So that'd be good if that's the case. That's not getting down toward the surface, that wind energy here. And as I look at some of our other radars, kind of sometimes you can't see things that great. But again, I just continue to track that there. Continuing to track it. Continuing to give you guys the very latest here. Definitely some heavier downpours here, moving into toward Cairo whenever thunder roars go indoors. You know, so that around there right now in the Cairo area in Grady County. So just got to keep that in mind there. You can see what's going on there with that electrical threat. And you have some gustier winds, could be some stronger winds coming in toward that vicinity as well. Again, this isn't as impressive down here southeast of Bainbridge as that area near Cairo is. Let me see if our other radar picks up on this and maybe too far away it was on the Moody. Let's just see though, because we'd be better off if we could see this here. You can see some of that wind energy, it looks like. Again, some of it there in Grady County. There's a flooded advisory in play in 0915. Samira's getting a few inches of rain here and that threat moving in toward Cairo. Hopefully they don't get as much rain into toward town, but just gotta keep watching things, keep tracking things here in the weather center to bounce between some of the different radar scans, those different radar presentations. Again, this area here in Jefferson that we came on for looks like it's kind of falling apart. That's good news for areas to the south that don't need more nastier weather, especially into Taylor County. Even Jefferson was impacted as well. But again, just gotta keep our eyes on things as you look there in that area around Cairo and Grady County. I think you've given you guys a good heads up there. Hopefully nothing happens out of that in toward that area as I go ahead and check this to see if we have a wind sensor in a region. I know we have the one in Bainbridge, temperature sensor Thomasville, you see the 80s, but nothing there in Cairo. So hopefully we might be able to get something out of that more instantaneous. I mean, we probably have weather stem stuff, but just in terms of the actual states in the METAR site, we don't have that. So it's something to kind of keep in mind there. So, okay, this isn't all that impressive here. I mean, honestly, but we'll watch it. It's kind of on the edge. This probably not going to get extended. If it does, well, if we need to come back on, we will. But if we just think it's not really warranting us coming back on, like some of the stuff earlier on didn't warrant us coming on, we'll just post it on Facebook. We'll just post it on Twitter. They're also now called the X platform, per se. That's the new name for Twitter. But again, just continuing to watch things here in the Weather Center. Facebook Casey Cloud Reacts, Facebook Cloud Weather, Twitter at Cloud Casey, again, also called X. And then you have YouTube there at Cloud Weather. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, it's free to do so. But that's another way just to watch. If you don't want to log into something, you don't have to actually subscribe or enable notifications. It's just helpful for you and for me here, really. But you can watch for free on doing that, or just by not logging in. And then Twitch there, Cloud Weather. You have cloudweather.com also, and then all those different links available there. You have interactive radar available on that cloudweather.com page as well. So, about to wrap it up. I don't think I'm going to extend this warning. We'll watch some of the other action here to see if that needs to be issued on here. Your temperature's still pretty warm, and despite they haven't seen a storm, and that's in its core up toward areas there around Camilla, around Moultrie. By the way, if you're watching this video here and you have not hit the like button so far, make sure you do that because it helps the algorithms kind of indicate here that more people are interested in it here based on those likes, and then it'll go to more people later on, the different streams that I do, and then more people will be aware of the threats here across the region, and occasionally when we have to cover national threats again. I had to cover so many national threats here over the years with hurricanes, but we had one last week that we covered for hours and hours with Idalia hit our own backyard. And we'll continue to cover that aftermath of that as well, and this is kind of part of that in a way. Some of the storminess here getting into areas that were hit with some of those gustier winds that knocked out power last week. Jefferson County, these winds here are not going to have that effect, but could help to unfortunately exploit some of those vulnerabilities there. So just got to keep that in mind. Even most of the power is back on when I look down to this one customer in the dark there in the Jefferson County area there over the last little bit, but it's gone up a good bit there with the storminess in play there. Again, that warning said go away soon as we approach 6:15. If we have more information for you guys and we need to pass along, we'll do it. Otherwise, I'll have that formal update here later tonight, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll try to have more pictures from that damage there out toward the west.